Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us on this second day of January 2021 for Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, how's this weather graphic? As usual, we've got a red area there for the northeastern Brooks Range and part of the eastern North Slope, and that's a wind chill warning that's out for the area there through tonight through Sunday, at least until 6 p.m. Sunday, for winds and cold temperatures, obviously wind chill warning. And that's for wind chills to 70 degrees below zero in that area there. And let's see, for the yellow shaded areas, those are wind chill advisories for areas of gusty winds and again the cold temperatures well below zero. And with the wind, looking at temperatures, wind chill temperatures to be 35 to 55 degrees below zero, which isn't too much colder than the actual ambient air temperatures will be especially in the wind sheltered areas. Otherwise, we've got you can just barely see it there for Anchorage. There's a dense fog advisory out for tonight. Let's see, actually until noon Sunday, so tonight through Sunday morning for the greater Anchorage area for dense fog, much like we saw throughout the day today. Some areas kind of clear out and other areas really sock in pretty good. And again, so that's through noon Sunday. And then Valdez, or not Valdez, they're not in the wind advisory area there. Actually, that's a wind chill advisory for Thompson Pass for tonight through tomorrow. And through 11 a.m. Sunday, give you the precise time it's due to end or forecast to end there. And it'll end at 11 a.m. Sunday, or, it may kick it out longer. But that's for a wind chill advisory for wind chills to 45 degrees below zero. Gusty winds, again, 40 to 50 miles an hour. And then way down there, under the Ketchikan sign, snow advisory, but not for Ketchikan. It's over for Hyder and Stewart there, the southeast part of the southeast coastal zone. And that's for, that's out until, I think 6 p.m. Sunday as well. And that's for 11 to 15 inches of snow for Hyder and Stewart total altogether. And that about does it for the watches, warnings, and advisories. Satellite imagery showing not too bad over interior Alaska. We've got some clouds with an cold upper level low pulling southwestward into the interior there from the Arctic. And so you can see clouds there, the upper Yukon Valley to the eastern interior. Right on the edge there, Fairbanks. There's some other clouds floating around, but not much in the way of any precipitation of any significance going on up there. Winds kicking up for the western Brooks Range today in some of the higher elevations. Temperatures in the minus 30s into the afternoon. Anatuvik, Arctic Village, and I believe a place called Howard Pass over in the western Brooks Range, maybe the DeLong Mountain areas there. But anyway, system rolling into the southeast coast brought anywhere from a half inch to an inch or a little over of rainfall to the southern southeast coast, and that tapered off as you head north, just Petersburg and Cake, or at Petersburg and Cake. They had just 3/100ths of an inch of liquid precipitation today, ending at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And then north of there, Sitka didn't have any, and anywhere north didn't report any as well. Yakutat, just a few clouds. North Gulf Coast looks pretty clear. And then light snow fell throughout the day, and I think 1 to 2 inches fell around Kodiak Island, especially if you get away from sea level at all. Temperatures right near or just above freezing throughout the afternoon with gusty west-southwest winds or west-northwest winds. And the chillier air there, just a little above freezing, 33 at times, 32 other times, and then that precipitation, a little snow did fall. Again, could have been anywhere from 1 to 3 inches at the most. And then for the southeast coast, not much in the way of wind with that system. All the heavier wind was down over the Queen Charlotte Islands with gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour. Low pressure continues to spin out there over the western Bering Sea and into the Pribilof Islands, weakening front along the coast, really in place there. And that's going to continue to wash out here. And you can see really just about dissolved there along the southwest coast. Now another trough, a little more potent, but not really all that much kick to it. The whole system slowly weakening up to 961 millibars now. Looking at west winds, still gusting 40 to 50 miles an hour for the central and western Aleutians, AKwx 40 to 45 miles an hour this afternoon, with rain and snow showers there, extending the entire length of the Aleutian chain up into the Pribilofs and to a much lesser extent in the western Alaska Peninsula. And then areas light snow there around Kodiak Island, very weak low. Still down at, that's a respectable pressure for a low pressure zone there, 971 millibars, but it's not very intense at all. There's not much gradient with it. And as they say, pressure's relative. It's the gradient that kicks the winds up, and 964 millibar low there. You can see all the gradient with that system is in across the Queen Charlotte, sort of into Dixon Entrance, but really not too windy over the southern panhandle, just rain and snow mix depending on your elevation and latitude. High pressure, Arctic high pressure in over the north slope, and you can see the gradient along the Brooks Range. And Howard Pass had a wind chill temperature earlier today of 79 degrees below zero, with winds gusting to 63 miles per hour. And that's in the western Brooks Range there. And the temperature at minus 33, minus 34 degrees, so just about 80 degrees below zero on that part of the range. And again, those temperatures expected, about minus 70 there for the northeastern Brooks Range. Again, tonight through into midday tomorrow, and then the wind advisories in the central interior as the gradient tightens up there. And otherwise dry and well below zero all the way down into Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet, possibly Bristol Bay zones, and pushing out toward the southwest coast. And temperatures probably falling into possibly the single numbers of St. Lawrence Island with gale force northeast winds, and still maybe a little bit of light snow or snow shower activity, but nothing that's going to amount to too much. And taking a look at the forecast for tonight, we've got kind of a nice bright precipitation pattern that I forgot to darken up a little bit there. Anyway, rain and snow showers of that trough again, slowly weakening low, just about stationary over the western Bering Sea. Winds continue to drop off over the Aleutians, stay westerly, and slowly diminishing even the Bering Sea there. Rain or snow showers continue, chances of over the Pribilof Islands down to the Alaska Peninsula. And chance of snow showers continues there, the weak trough, Kodiak Island, but don't look for too much more accumulation. Dense fog advisory, greater Anchorage area, wind chill advisories, again, much of the central interior. Maybe some light snow developing or flurries up over the upper Yukon Flats, northeast interior there. Chance of fog, eastern Arctic coast, high pressure locked in over the north slope of Arctic high variety. And rain and snow mixed, and a little breezy, but not too bad for the central and southern southeast coast. Moving on to Sunday, tomorrow. A warm front starts lifting northward with another low pressure area that you can see is right on the edge. The 972 millibar low there kicks up, the other one washes out, and the warm front increases rain mostly across the Queen Charlotte, maybe Dixon Entrance, keeps the southern panhandle on the damp side, northern panhandle remnants of that front with the trough lifting north-northwest. Spread some moisture, but nothing heavy into the Lynn Canal Glacier Bay area. Dry and cold over the interior, well below zero, and unsettled out over the Bering Sea with snowfall levels down, again, near sea level with the cold air. And cold air continues to pour south and southwestward over the Bering Sea, mostly the northern and western areas, wrapping back into the Aleutians for snow in those areas. And then a big storm south of the Alaska Peninsula. And lows tonight, 25 to 45 below interior areas to above freezing southeast coast and the Aleutians. Highs 30s in the Aleutians, well below zero over much of interior Alaska, especially north of the Alaska Range. And lows 35 to 45 below for Monday morning, followed by highs well below zero once again.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Moving on to first flight and weather graphics Sunday morning. Some VFR there, central western Arctic coast on down west coast there, Noatak Valley, Kotzebue Sound, Seward Peninsula. Most of the Yukon Delta, then some little bit of marginal VFR there along the north side of the Alaska Range back across northern Kuskokwim Valley to the Yukon River, lower Yukon River there, and some IFR, central north slope, and also over toward the eastern Arctic coast. And that zone extends down almost to the White Mountains there across the Yukon River, just to the north of Fairbanks. And then VFR, south and east of the Alaska Range, most of Bristol Bay, and most of Kodiak Island as well. Looks like Montague Island there to the Cape Yakataga, Cordova area, Marginal VFR, Yakutat VFR, IFR there along the southeast coast, and socked in over the southern third of the area there. And then IFR mostly off the coast there over the eastern Bering Sea, but up to St. Lawrence Island and the Pribilofs, marginal for the Aleutians. Afternoon, band of IFR extends from Shimi and Attu up to just north of St. Paul Island, covering St. Matthew Island, and west of Nunivak Island, down into Cape Newenham and to the northeast there a little bit, and another smaller branch heading in toward, I believe that's Pilot Point and Nelson Lagoon. IFR now covering, increasing over Prince William Sound tomorrow, east side of the Kenai Peninsula into Passage Canal and Valdez as well, and also the northern panhandle, including Yakutat, and marginal for the central southern southeast coast. Interior, southern interior, mostly VFR, and then up to the north, scattered VFR, scattered IFR, and scattered marginal VFR. Monday morning, again, that scattered VFR to IFR condition there for the Brooks Range, North Slope, and Arctic Coast. Pretty good VFR, Yukon Delta to the Noatak Valley and Cape Lisburne. Much of the central interior. Marginal VFR now spreading into Cook Inlet and the Matanuska Valley, and probably the Susitna Valley as well, central and eastern areas, up across the Talkeetnas, the Alaska Range, Isabel Pass, or so near or just east of Windy. IFR along the southwest coast, and mostly marginal out there over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, but IFR Kodiak Island up into Kachemak Bay, southern Kenai Peninsula, Resurrection Bay, Prince William Sound, eastward to it looks like east of Cape St. Elias, and marginal to Yakutat, and panhandle mostly marginal VFR. For the afternoon, mostly marginal VFR for the southeast coast with IFR over the southern areas there. North Gulf Coast IFR and the Kenai Peninsula, and really south central Alaska right up to the Alaska Range. Some of that spilling into the Kuskokwim Valley. IFR southwest and southern Kodiak Island, across the Alaska Peninsula, mostly off the coast there. And into the Bering Sea, just a narrow band there, kind of meandering westward and then southeastward into Kiska Island to Adak. And scattered areas again of VFR, marginal VFR, and a little bit of IFR there for the central Arctic coast North Slope. Passes, Anatuvik, marginal VFR tomorrow to VFR, kind of bouncing back and forth. I'll go err on the side of caution, call both of them marginal, but they could be better. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR for sure. Rainy, also definitely VFR. Windy, VFR. Isabel, VFR. Mentasta, looking good as well with VFR flying in the forecast for Sunday is Tanita. But Portage there with that moisture coming up. Marginal VFR with increasing IFR in the eastern approach. Chilkoot and White, IFR. Freezing levels, not much to look at here. 2,000 feet there over the southern panhandle. And now the surface south of St. Matthew Island and on down to the Alaska Peninsula, hugging the North Gulf Coast again and cutting across the panhandle. Icing, not a lot here either. Maybe some couple areas of considerable moderate rime or mixed icing there along the eastern border of the panhandle, possibly Montague Island to Cordova, Cape Yakataga. Everywhere else, that's pretty, just a slight chance, and that's about it. And for the jet stream, cold upper low there, one near Mackenzie Bay and another one there, central Brooks Range, kind of pulling southwestward and bringing the colder air into the central northern interior and to a lesser extent over southern Alaska. And weaker lows along the Aleutians may jet well south of the area. Same thing at 9,000 feet. East becomes northeast, 40-45 knots there across the Chukchi Sea and the northern interior. 45 westerlies for the central Aleutians, and the main strongest wind south of the panhandle. And turbulence-wise, not too bad. St. Lawrence Island, maybe a little bit of moderate chop. Otherwise, the other shaded areas pretty scattered in nature of isolated moderate at worst.
Welcome back to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm Dave Snyder, and joining me today is Cindy Preller. She's the Tsunami Program Manager for Alaska Region's National Weather Service. And Cindy, we hear a lot about tsunamis in the news, probably a lot more than we used to, but let's remind everybody, what is a tsunami?
Thanks for having me, Dave.
Sure.
Tsunami is basically, it's really simple. It's just a disturbance in the water column. So the entire water column from the seafloor to the sea surface is disturbed by something major, usually a major earthquake. But it can also be a volcanic eruption, even an asteroid. Landslide is especially dangerous.
Okay, so if I'm sitting in my bathtub and I drop a bath toy, that could be a bathtub tsunami.
It is absolutely a bathtub tsunami.
Okay, very good. So Alaska is one of the states, or maybe the state, with the greatest amount of coastline. So tsunamis are a pretty major risk here in Alaska. Who is most at risk?
Yeah, Alaska is significant. We actually make most of the Pacific's tsunamis on the Aleutian Trench. And it's where the Pacific plate is subducting underneath the American plate. And we produce some very large, great quakes. And of course, the most at risk is the Aleutian Trench.
Okay.
But that extends into south central Alaska as well. They're at huge risk. And then southeast Alaska's risk is really mostly landslide focused.
Okay. Are there any places along the Alaskan coastline that don't have a tsunami risk, or at least a very, very low risk?
Absolutely. The Bering Sea's risk is very low, and the Arctic's risk is very low as well.
Okay, so when we're talking about tsunami dangers, those are places that need to be monitored, but probably not really.
No, I mean, I won't say never.
Yeah, sure.
Because I know better.
Science knows better.
Right. So,
very good.
Near to never.
Okay. Well, let's just say you're on the coast, anywhere in Alaska. What are warning signs that tsunami dangers are threatening you right now?
This is super important because Alaska's greatest risk, especially out on the Aleutians and South Central, is a near-field tsunami, and then of course the landslides in southeast. It's even more intense because we can't.
Shorter warning time.
No warning time.
Okay.
The earthquake is the warning.
Okay.
And that is the most important thing for anybody to remember. The water can arrive in less than 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, at the National Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer, we need to get the warning out in 5 minutes. So for those near-field tsunamis, it's the earthquake is the warning. So if you feel shaking, and of course the first thing you do is drop, cover, and hold, and you need to start counting slowly to 20.
The right way. How do you do that?
Oh, I teach kids to do it with their favorite things. So 1 chocolate, 2 chocolate, 3 chocolate, but you can count anything you like. And if you're thinking of something happy, that helps. Especially helps kids, but it'll help your psyche.
So you don't speed up because you're getting stressed out.
Right. It actually lowers your heart rate.
Interesting.
You know, so if you think of something you love and practice that. So you're in an earthquake, you're under the table, you're next to the ocean. Right. This is important if you're next to the ocean. If you're not next to the ocean, don't worry about it. Just stay in place under cover.
And you're talking about a mile, a quarter mile? What's close?
A mile, even a couple miles. You know, our rule of thumb used to be a mile inland was safe, but the last few tsunamis have taught us otherwise. So, yeah, you know, in Japan we had inundation up to 10 miles. So.
And that was a big quake.
That was a big quake.
So you have a quake, you're counting slowly to 20.
To 20.
What's next?
And if you get to 20 and it's still shaking, you need to evacuate. And that is, that's scary.
Yeah.
Because you're evacuating in a live event that's still shaking. You know, 1964 shook for 4.5 minutes. Indonesia shook for 12 minutes.
Wow.
Japan, I think, shook for 6. I'm not sure of that, but it was long. Anyway, more than 20 seconds.
And that's a sign of a very major earthquake, the worst.
Well, 20 seconds is a magnitude 7, so that's not the worst. But what a magnitude 7 can do is trigger a landslide. And those landslides might be a submarine landslide, so you won't see it, you won't hear it, you won't know it, and then the water's moving. So that's really, really, really dangerous. That's what happened in '64 first. Seward, Valdez, Whittier all had landslides first.
And when you're talking about the water is a warning sign too. What happens with the water that gives you a very easy visual sign that something's changing?
Not guaranteed. It might go out, it might go way out really fast enough to leave the fish behind, but that's not guaranteed. It might just be a fast flood instead. So either way, if it's acting like a super fast rising tide, faster than a tide should rise, get out of there. And if it goes out really fast, get out of there.
Yeah.
You know, we lost a lot of lives because people will go check out the new tide pools or
Sure.
pick up fish or shells or, you know, so, and it should feel weird.
Right.
You know, it should be weird.
So pay attention to those natural warning signs and how you feel, because those are maybe the only clues you have.
Right, and you know, sound also. You can hear a tsunami. It'll sound like a roaring train, maybe.
Okay.
Or it might sound silent because the water's been pulled out.
Right.
And that's pretty weird. Imagine camping
Yeah.
at night
Yeah.
near the beach, and all of a sudden you don't hear the ocean anymore.
That would be different.
That would be weird.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you also might hear blowing bubbles, and that's actually from the pressure that's blowing the air out from the sand grains, rock grains.
Interesting.
So if you hear blowing bubbles, that's a little weird.
Okay.
Or clinking rocks, you know, like a rain stick. So those are the sound signs. So the visual is rushing in or rushing out, and roaring especially.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of work to get people and keep people aware of what the tsunami warning signs are and what the risks are around Alaska. And there's a website that can help them do that. Where can they go online to get more information for their school, their home, their church, their business?
Oh, there's several. The National Tsunami Warning Center has a website as well, and the easiest way to look that up is just NTWC.
NTWC.
The URL is not intuitive at all.
Okay.
There's also ready.alaska.gov. The state of Alaska has a lot of helpful stuff. Preparedness kits. They have everything you need to get ready.
Okay.
And then for teachers and others, there's a wonderful curriculum called Alaska Tsunami Education Program.
Alaska Tsunami Education Program. Okay.
And that's AKwx.
AKwx. Okay, very good. Those are really good tips to get more information and search that out and help your own community stay safe with the threat of tsunamis around Alaska. Next time we come back and talk to you some more about the Tsunami Ready program and get more in depth and how people can learn more about the risks and what to do here in Alaska. So thank you for joining us today, Cindy. And next time on Alaska Weather Facts, more on tsunamis around Alaska. We'll see you next time.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis still shows a general reduction of the sea ice there in Bristol Bay, and to a lesser extent Kuskokwim Bay up toward Nunivak Island. Kind of actually appears to be a little thinner. The heavier ice not quite as extensive as it was on up along the Yukon Delta coast, maybe around St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, those changes pretty minor, and still not much ice south of the Forelands in Cook Inlet, and hardly any at all there in Kamishak Bay. And for the coastal water forecasts, small craft advisories tomorrow on the south coast of the southeast coast, south 25 knots, east 22 to 25 feet, and south-southeast 15 to 20 knots on the north coast. Light southeast winds, Lynn Canal at 10 knots, and 15 knots for Stevens Passage. South 20 knots for Clarence Strait, and those seas up to 12 feet. Outlook for Monday, Clarence Strait, southeast winds 20 knots, seas 7 feet. And Stevens Passage, southeast 15, 3-foot seas, light winds for Lynn Canal, variable to north at 10. And small craft advisories there, coastal areas of Prince of Wales Island, south 30 knots, 21-foot seas, and 20-knot southerly winds, 20-foot seas there on the central coast. Small craft advisories on the north coast, southeast 25 knots, 16 to 18-foot seas. Prince William Sound, northeast winds, 15 knots, 3-foot seas, southeast 25. That's good for small craft advisories for the western or eastern North Gulf Coast there with the 9-foot seas, and also small craft advisories due to 8-foot seas there on the western North Gulf Coast. Winds will be northeast at 20. Northwest winds 20 knots for both Kamishak Bay and the Barren Islands, and north 15 for southern Cook Inlet, northeast at 10, northern Cook Inlet. And for Cook Inlet on Monday, north winds 15 knots, seas 5 feet. Kamishak Bay, same forecast. Small craft advisories for the Barren Islands, north 25 knots, seas 8 feet. And northeast winds at 20 knots with 10-foot seas there for the western North Gulf Coast. Prince William Sound, east at 20, seas 4 feet. Southeast 20 knots with 12-foot seas for the Middleton Island area or the eastern North Gulf Coast. Sunday, Kodiak Island, northwest winds 20 knots. Seas 4 feet in Shelikof Strait to 11 feet there on the east side of the island. And Sitkinak to Castle Cape, northwest at 20. Small craft advisories, Castle Cape to Cape Sarachev, west 25 knots, seas near 20 feet. Southwest 20 knots, north side of the peninsula, or top side there. Bering Sea side, southwest 20 knots, 10-foot seas, light winds, and slight seas for Bristol Bay. But those will become small craft advisory level northeast winds at 25 knots for Bristol Bay on Monday, and 30-knot northeast winds there for the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. Gale warnings out for the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula there due to that intense storm system that's off to the south there, but close enough to bring 40-knot easterlies there from Cape Surichef to Castle Cape. Small craft advisories, Castle Cape, right up the east side of Kodiak Island, east-northeast 25 to 30 knots. Fox Islands, Unalaska Island, west winds 25 to 30 knots. Unmac Island, west-southwest 30 knots. And 30 to 35 knot southwest winds there for the Adak-Atka area. Gales for Amchitka Island, southwest 35 knots. Kiska, Shimiatu, west 30 knots. Seas just under 20 feet. Monday, gale warnings, western Aleutians from Attu Island all the way over to Amchitka, northwest 35 to 40 knots. And then southern portions of the Pacific side, Adak and Atka gale warnings, west 35 knots. And Unmac Island, Nikolsky, north to northwest, 20 to 25 knots. Stronger winds over on Alaska Island, especially south side there, north 45 knots, 20-foot seas. And for the southwest coast tomorrow, pretty uniform. Northeast winds 20 knots, southwest 15 for the Pribilofs, northeast 25. St. Matthew Island, gale warning. St. Lawrence Island again, northeast 35, seas 14 feet, and Norton Sound, northeast at 20. Outlook for, let's see, Monday, northeast winds 20 knots for Norton Sound, but gales continue. St. Lawrence Island, cold air continuing to pour south and southwestward there into the northern Bering Sea through the strait. And small craft advisories along the southwest coast, north to northeast 25 knots, north 25 for the Pribilofs, a little stronger for St. Matthew Island at 30 knots. Eastern Boulevard Sea coast, and we're actually central and east side, north to east, 10 knots, pretty light and sort of variable. North 15 on the western Arctic coast, and pick up the brisk wind advisories from Cape Beaufort all the way down to Wales for 25 to 30 knot north to northeast winds. And let's see, we'll make the brisk wind advisory on Monday from Wales to Cape Beaufort, 30 knot winds there, and east-northeast 15 to 20 for the remainder of the Arctic coast. Tonight, rain and snow into the Panhandle, and wind chill advisories, cold temperatures in the...
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.